This is Wandering Minds Podcast, and I am Mickey.
And I am Mike, and today our special guest is Emily. Emily, how are you? Thank you for coming.
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for having me here.
Good. Yeah, so you are Carson's wife.
Yes.
Big Daddy's barber shop.
Yes.
Okay.
Big Daddy's wife.
Big Daddy's wife. And, you know, Carson has every interaction I've ever had with him. He always like showcases you as, you know, you being his wife, you being the person who has really helped him become the better man that he is today. And I want to know about that. I'm very intrigued because I understand the support system because I too have a wife. And I think that I would be a really fucked up person if I didn't have a wife.
Yeah.
So I want to know who you are. I want to understand what made you become the person you are today. Start at any point in life. Again, like I said, whatever you're comfortable sharing, share. If you don't feel comfortable sharing it, don't share it, obviously. But I want to know who you are.
Sure.
I want to know your story.
Sure. Okay. Well, I grew up here in Eugene area. I came from like a great family with my parents are still together today. Siblings, was raised in the church. Everything was really normal. I was really privileged, you know, like super privileged, suburban household. I had everything I wanted. And I think I did really like pretty normal things, until my journey started late.
Okay.
So, you know, I had a job. I went to college for a little bit. I got married. I had 2 kids. And then I had back surgery. And I got hooked on painkillers. So,
How old were you when you had back surgery?
I was like 24.
Oh, that's
maybe.
so young to have surgery.
Yeah. So yeah, I was really young. It happened really fast. It was like in the height of the you know, over prescribing epidemic. This was before they even had prescriptions that were like they just printed them on regular paper.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, and they were just like giving them out every week. It was just,
Was it Oxy or what was it that you were? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Oxys. Yeah. So, I really didn't even know, anything about it. Like it hadn't been publicized yet. It hadn't been like, it wasn't all over the place like it is now. So I didn't really know. My dad's an alcoholic, and a drug addict. So like for sure knew that I was predisposed to that type of behavior. But I hadn't experienced it at all. And I just kind of think there's like this assumption that if you come from like a good family, then like you're not gonna do that. You know what I mean? And that's just not true. That's not true at all.
Well, and the assumption, I mean, you would think because you have all the opportunity to not.
Yeah.
And that's where that assumption comes from. Exactly.
But it's really weird because I can vividly remember the first time that I took Oxy. I had babies. I was exhausted. And I remember feeling like I can literally do anything. Like I can do anything.
Superhuman.
Yeah. It was Christmas Eve. I went, you know, I ended up going to the doctor and they gave it to me, and it was Christmas Eve and I had to play piano for church, and I had been up all night with the kid, and I was in a lot of pain, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. How am I going to show up for church to play piano? But once I took it, not only did I play piano like a rock star, I was like super mom. I was wrapping all the presents. I was like, I'm going to go see if my mom needs help. Wow. I'm going to go wrap all her presents. And I was decorating things. I was cleaning things. I was like, this is it. Like, this is how it was supposed to be the whole time. So that, you know, that was a very vivid memory for me. I remember watching, Oprah, and Julia Roberts was on there, and she had just had twin babies, and I remember her talking about all the things that she's doing with her twin babies, and I'm just like, there is no way this bitch is not on painkillers. There's no way. That's the only way. That is it. And so, you know, from then on, it was just like this is how I'm going to be able to live. This is how I'm going to be able to get through all of this back stuff. But this is also how I'm going to get through being a mom and my kids are 11 months apart.
Wow.
Like, yeah, it was wild. So I was like so tired like, all the time. Yeah. And so I just went on like that and I just kept going. And they just kept prescribing them.
How many would you take? How many did it take? Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like normal amounts at first, but then there were times where
that's what I meant. When did it, how quickly did it snowball? Normal levels is what? What's a normal level?
I mean, one or two.
Okay. One or two a day.
No.
Oh.
At a time.
Okay.
At a time. And they would last
every couple
for,
hours.
4 to 6 hours.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you're doing at least.
So like Tylenol.
Yeah. So you're doing
for like Tylenol.
Yeah.
2 to 4 every couple hours. You're getting at least that many. Okay. And then it turned to what?
Well, much, much more.
Okay.
So then I was going through, there were times where I was going through 20 or 30 pills in a day. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Do not recommend. It's very dangerous.
Yeah.
But it took me a while. It probably took me maybe a year to build up
to get to that point. Okay.
And then, and then there was always, you would take a bunch right at first because you had a whole bunch of them. And then the next day you're like, oh, I better slow down because I don't have so many. And then the next day it's like, I really got to space these out or I'm going to get sick.
Yeah.
And so, it was definitely a game of, I mean, it was always a game. Everything about it was a game. But yeah.
How did you pay for it?
Well,
I mean, because they're not expensive. So your parents paid? Did your parents?
No, I worked.
Okay.
I was working this whole time. Yeah, and like when you're getting them from the pharmacy,
yeah,
like
discount, yeah.
So, but I did at that time. I played little games with the pharmacies where I would go to different pharmacies, and I would have to remember which ones I submitted to my insurance and which one, and then the next one I would say, well, I don't have insurance because I know that my insurance is going to let me pick this one up this quickly. So yeah, it was just the whole prescription game is exhausting and there's a lot of things you got to remember and
so if you're like going out of your way to make sure that like, okay, so that I don't get caught essentially, at what point did you realize that like you had a problem, like that you had the addiction?
Oh, really early on.
Okay.
Really early on. I'd say probably 2 months in, I was like, I'm screwed.
But it didn't, did it matter? Were you thinking about it in terms like it just is what it is? Or were you like, oh God, I'm scared at this point already?
I think, that's a great question. I recognized that I was definitely hooked on them. But I felt like they were my answer. And so it was
it just is what it is.
I was, yeah.
Oh yeah. If you're like, that resonates with me, like just drowning as a mom, right?
Yeah.
And like to find some sort of like normalcy, like if this is what I have to do, then I'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also hated my husband at the time.
Yeah, that's
So, so like I was pretty miserable, really. And, uncomfortable in my skin. I think I had probably always been uncomfortable in my own skin. I don't think I felt comfortable until maybe 5 years ago, really.
Yeah.
It took me my whole life. So, I went on like that for a really long time. I would definitely go in and out of like attempts to quit. Some of them were more successful than others for periods of time. They have this medication that is used to help people get off opiates called Suboxone. That was like valuable. I really definitely see the value in it. I see much more value in not using it long term, but it did definitely help me have periods of, so-called sobriety where I, more normalcy, I guess I would call it. And then they came down hard with the restrictions for prescribing. And so once they did that, it was a different world for me because I wasn't able to get them. And I didn't have like friends that used
Yeah.
I didn't have, I was like by myself with my kids. Like I didn't have homies.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and plus you were more of the higher echelon of household, like
Well,
socioeconomic status, I want to say.
Yeah. Like I just I didn't know. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't familiar with any of that world at that time. Got divorced, you know, had series of just like short-term relationships after that. Really never feeling any type of success, I would say I was just really just surviving for a really long time. And then I was on Suboxone for a really long period of time at one point. And so during that, I ended up not being able to access that medication for whatever reason. So turns out the people who lived across the street from me did a lot of drugs. So they moved in at one point. I could tell because they were always awake, for one. I would see, tons of different people going in and out of that house. I mean, they were just like very, very stereotypical trap house.
Yeah.
So then I'm sure that I thought about it a lot of different times. And then one day I was like, fuck it. I'm going to go see what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And I did. And I eventually got hooked on heroin.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Which is really the natural progression from painkillers. I mean, it's if you're unable to get help, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
So yeah. Lost my kids during that period of time. Of course, like DHS.
Now, how were you taking heroin? How were you?
Well, I didn't know that you could smoke heroin, so I just thought the only way that you could do it is IV, and so that's what I did.
You shot it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, from day one.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So,
was there any progression to heroin?
Just the oxy.
No. Well, I mean, I guess in routes of administration. So so I began snorting them at one point. When they were the pills.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you went from oxy to heroin.
Yeah.
Usually there's like meth or crank or something.
Oh, I added that in later. I sprinkled that in later. Yeah.
Later. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 'Cause heroin's like, my understanding is like, that's when like, no.
Yeah. I mean, they're just different types of drugs, you know? Yeah. So heroin just matched more with what was working for me, I guess, at the time. So, so I liked opiates. And so that was, and by this time I had done tons of research. I had read all the things, and it was becoming more mainstream, as far as like, more stories were being publicized about people, and more celebrities were coming out with their stories. Yeah. And so I had more information available to me at that time.
That's really, really intriguing to me that you actually researched before. 'Cause so basically you were planning on your next level.
Oh, for sure I was.
Okay.
For sure. In fact, there's another very vivid memory I have when I was in the hospital and at one point, and they gave me Dilaudid.
Okay.
In my IV, and it was the first time that I had ever had opiates intravenously. Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, I get it now.
Yeah.
I get it. And it wasn't for a few years later that I started using heroin or using IV drugs. But I remember that at that point I had like qualified myself. I had decided, I'm going to be one of these people. Eventually, one of these days, I'm going to do this.
Okay.
And I did. So yeah, just a big long. There was a lot of progression. There were a lot of ups and downs. So there was a lot of like I would start getting to where I was feeling like, man, I'm really getting bad, and I'd do things that made it feel or seem like maybe I was getting a little bit better. Maybe I was, oh my gosh, I've only, done this small amount for the last 3 days, okay, I'm doing good. And then it might be, another few months of just going really heavy. So it was always a game like that, though. I mean, everything is just like
ebbs and flows.
Yeah, and
so
exhausting.
What was from day one oxy to day one heroin? What was the timeline?
6 years.
Okay.
Yeah, probably 6 years.
Okay.
Maybe less, 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah. There's not much to tell at that point because every day is the same day.
Yeah.
I didn't get a lot of sleep. I was out at night all the time. After I lost my kids, I didn't lose them to foster care, but only because their dad wasn't a drug addict. So like they could live with their dad.
Yeah.
And I only got to see him like an hour a week at DHS.
Like supervised.
Yeah.
Okay.
But after that point, and of course, by now I definitely was unemployable, so I wasn't working. My parents were paying my rent, so it was like I was just
surviving.
Yeah, running around. All my friends used drugs. All my friends were up at all hours of night. I remember, walking down the street thinking, why am I not scared? Like, why am I walking down the street at 2 a.m, like some young woman walking down the street, and I'm like, oh, because I'm what people are scared of.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
So I have a question about, you said your parents were paying your rent.
Yeah.
And do you feel like, and you don't even have to answer this if you don't want, do you feel like they were enabling you? By paying your rent and supporting you through that?
That's the beginning of that.
When I heard that, I was like, man.
Yeah.
I have not been an addict, and I wish my parents paid my
rent.
Well,
I don't think they knew what to do.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of parents don't.
Yeah.
Just that helpless, like, if I can just do something.
And I was also like, I think there was I told them I wasn't using. I told them I wasn't doing these things. I told them that everything that had happened to me was a product of some other unfortunate mishap that was not, of course, not my fault. It was just some thing that happened. And so, I know that it was probably unbelievable to them, but I think they wanted to believe things. And so they just kept hoping that, okay, well, maybe, and that didn't last too long where they were paying for me to live there. Eventually they were like, okay, well, we're actually going to sell this house, and then you're going to need to figure out a place to go. I didn't figure out a place to go. And so I just like stayed up. Okay. I just like stayed awake. And then I would sleep, periodically, at different people's houses. Sometimes at their house. Sometimes they'd let me stay at their house. Yeah. And then one day I got arrested. Well, no. I got arrested a lot of days, but this one day I got arrested for my first felony. And before that, they were just little misdemeanors, so it's like, oh, no big deal. No, this was a felony. And I don't even know why, like all the people that I hung out with were felons. Like, I don't know why for me, that was it. That was a thing. It was like, I am not going to be a felon. I am not. I had a great job for 11 years that I would never be able to have if I was a felon. I'm not going to be able to rent a house if I'm a felon. So, they ended up offering me drug court. And so I took that offer from the courts, and it wasn't for like another 6 months that I ended up actually showing up. Like they kept like, so, I was
They were very structured back then, right?
Well, they were. I was just hiding.
Oh, okay. So you disappeared.
Yeah. Cause I didn't, cause I wanted to get sober for sure. I wanted to get sober, but like I also didn't because that was scary. What would I do? It would be boring. I wouldn't have any friends. Like nobody would understand me. What am I going to do? Work some dumb job? I'm not going to go work at, Taco Bell. I'm not going to go work retail, but I was not employable at that time. So they gave me drug court, and eventually I got I got to the place in my life where I was just like, I have nothing. Like, I have nothing. I'm so tired. Like, I'll just show up to court now.
Can you, so I've heard of drug court. Can
Yeah.
you like expand on it a little bit, what it is?
Yeah. So drug court is something that it's a problem solving court. So they offer it to people with an incentive to go through this program, and then there's the incentive at the end if you successfully complete it. So for me, my incentive was, we're going to take away this felony charge and you're not going to be a felon. For others, it is if you do this, you will not go to prison. So just depends on what the situation is.
Is it like classes?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's what I envision.
yes.
Like kind of like self-improvement type classes,
It's
maybe. Like
insane.
Very
They're
intensive.
So intense.
Okay.
So not only are there like, it's like group. So for drug addicts, when we do counseling, we do it together in a group. And so you do that 3 days a week, 3 hours each time. And then you go to like your own counseling, and then there's mental health counseling, which I was like, I don't need that, but turns out I did. And
Good to recognize.
and also it was probably the most valuable part of it for me was the mental health counseling part of it. So
Good to know.
yeah. And then there's like, and then you have to show up to court all the time. And the judge is like, oh, okay, so since the last time you've been to court, here's your progress. Or whoops, you didn't do something you were supposed to do. Or, for some people, luckily for me, I didn't have any issues the entire time. That's not normally the case, really. Sometimes people will pop dirty. Sometimes they won't go to group. Sometimes they won't go to their like meetings, because you have to go to like outside meetings like AA or Celebrate Recovery or things like that. And then you get sanctioned. So those sanctions could be anywhere from, you have to sit through an entire session of court and then write an essay. Yeah,
Shit.
which was like the ones I like to do, like
Okay.
because those were like, okay, well, this is going to be 3 hours of my day, or you could go to jail.
Yeah.
So, or road crew, which road crew was awful.
Yeah.
So, so you had, whatever, like you had consequences, I guess, if you didn't do things correctly. So, you had a PO, you had like a case manager, and then you have to call a hotline every single day for the entire time that you're in there. And if your number gets called, you go in and take a UA. And then they tell you where you're going to live, and they
Like a halfway house or okay.
halfway house.
Okay.
Yeah. And then they tell you where you can work, who you can hang out with, where you can go, where you can't go. Pretty much you are just 100% monitored by this system, this team of people. And they just force you to learn how to live life. And it's very successful. It's very successful. I mean, it was really successful for me because, for one, I didn't want my photo in Lane County mugshots. And so I was really scared to mess up because I'm like, I don't want to go to jail because everybody now knows that I'm sober.
Yeah.
And they see my picture, they're going to be like, oh, great, what happened to Emily? So I'm like, I got to make sure I do everything right. But then also I wanted to get out of the program.
Yeah.
Some people are in there for years and years.
Wow.
Yeah, recently. I mean, I know somebody who just recently graduated that I was in there with, so they were in there for 5 or 6 years. Yeah, I was in there for, I think maybe a year and a half. That includes inpatient treatment.
Okay.
Yeah. So funny that you bring up halfway house. That's actually that's how Carson and I met. So there's this big as in worldwide. It's an international network of sober living called Oxford.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many there are in town right now, probably in the 20s, 20 something, men's and women's houses. And so we each lived in one of those houses. And so those are your friends. When you live in those houses, those are your friends. That's who you hang out with. You kind of teach each other how to live life, how to do things, how to be honest, how to budget, how to make good choices, really, or watch people make really bad choices. People did some stupid shit in Oxford, and we got to watch that. And so that's how we met. That's how we became friends, and then eventually moved out of Oxford. Well, I eventually moved out of Oxford. I'm not sure that if Carson hadn't met me, he might still be hanging out there. I don't know.
Yeah.
He was cool with it. They just, it was just like a bunch of guy roommates. They were having a good time.
Yeah.
Girls wasn't as fun. The girls'
Really?
house, no.
Now, were these houses separate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for obvious reasons,
Yeah.
I would think, but.
Yeah, women's houses and men's houses.
So
yeah.
how did you guys meet if they were separate?
Well, you
You
could
do
go in
classes
them.
in group. Oh, okay.
Well, no, the Oxford houses, you just live there. It's
Okay.
just like everybody's renting a room,
Gotcha.
but everybody's sober and there's rules you have to follow.
Yeah.
And if you break those rules, you get kicked out.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how we met. Well, we met because everybody in Oxford is friends with everybody in Oxford.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just how, so then we knew each other for a while. We didn't start dating until I had moved out for a while. I had been moved out. But they were all still my friends. Yeah. And so, I ended up, after I graduated drug court and I didn't have a felony on my record, I was able to get a really good job. So once I got that job, I was able to get pay for my own place. Well, I rented an apartment with a girlfriend of mine. Mm-hmm. It was like the best, most fun time ever.
Yeah.
And I slowly got to start seeing my kids again.
What does that mean, slowly?
Well, as in, every week it would be just small visits.
Okay. Still supervised?
No, they didn't have to be supervised, but they were mad at me.
Yeah.
So,
How long was that process? Like, since you had kids and you went through the whole getting sober thing, how old are they at this point?
Oh, good question. 10.
Oh, okay.
10.
So a long time in their minds.
Well, so they were 10, but I hadn't seen them in a year and a half.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
so there was a long period where I was using while I was still in their life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then there was a long period of time where, I mean, it felt long to me,
Yeah, of course.
where I was sober and still not seeing them.
Yeah. Did they know? I know that they're young, but did they know that you weren't sober?
So I didn't never tell them that. And I don't think that their dad told them that,
Okay.
but right before I was about to go to rehab, like inpatient rehab, I was visiting my son or my kids, and my son, who, I don't know, he was young. He's like, I was telling him how I was getting packed and I was ready to go. And he's like, oh, cool. Where are you going to go? And I was like, oh, well, I'm going to be back soon. So it's just like, I'm just going to go live there for a little bit and then I'm going to come back. And he goes, no, but like, what's the name of it?
Okay.
And like, so,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like,
So
he knew I was going
wasn't
to rehab.
dumb to it. Yeah, he wasn't dumb to
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah, he knew.
And how old was he at that time?
Maybe like 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Kids aren't dumb.
Yeah, no, he knew. He's like, oh, she's going to rehab.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I mean, when I ask them now, like looking back now, they have memories of things that I'm like, oh shit, they remember that, So they were more aware than.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're getting your slowly trickling, getting your visits back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, and then they just were they got unmad. They were just like, okay, here we are. This is my mom. She's better. And so then I just got them like, it wasn't quite halftime. But eventually it got to be like, so I have them like half and half. Like,
So that being said, now I hear a lot, and I've, dealt with situations where it's like the other party holds these grudges. Was your ex ever like that person that says, no, you can't have these kids at all, you're not going to have any part of life? Because it seemed to me like, or it sounds to me like you guys split, but he still valued you as the mother, right? Was that the case? I mean,
No, that was not the case.
that was not the case. Okay. So you had to earn your right back, so to speak.
I fought him in court.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I guess that's what I was going for. I was wondering about that.
Yeah. Well, and then, because I was already connected with the courts for drug court, they really just like
easy.
helped me. They were on my side at that point. They were just like, you need to see your kids. Let's make this happen. So he would know. I mean, but he's, I don't know if it necessarily had anything with me being a drug addict. He just hates me.
Yeah.
So like, and that's fine, whatever.
Well,
but
you decided to not choose him anymore.
yeah,
So.
exactly.
It's an ego thing for
It's
dudes.
fine. We still don't get along. So
Yeah. Okay.
but yeah, so I did get that half. Eventually I got him half and half. So I get him, week on, week off type of thing. Yeah. And then, Carson and I started dating. Eventually we moved in together. We got a big house with another friend of ours. And all of a sudden life just became really normal. So we were just like a normal, and we still think about that. Like we're just in a house. We just have kids. We're just like, we're about to take the kids to school. It's so weird, and because I had this really good job, I think for the first time I started feeling really valued, and I felt valued by this company. And they loved me from day one. And it was so weird because all I had to do was show up. That's all I had to do was just show up, just come to work, because the other people on my team weren't doing that. And so I would show up and they were just like, oh my God, she's so good. And I'm just like, the bar is on the floor here. Like it is so low. Yeah. So I'm just like, this is the best opportunity I ever accidentally got. And so they promoted me. And so then they promoted me again and then again. And they just kept doing that until I mean, I do a good job. I do a really good job, but like I'm motivated to do a good job. And I was like, I'm actually like accomplishing things. Like I'm not like, this is not just like survival. Yeah. I'm like living. I'm doing things that are like meaningful, and people are recognizing me for it. And other people are coming to me for like inspiration for things. And I'm like, this is so weird. And it was the best thing that's ever happened to me, like being valued like that. And then I got some crazy opportunities to help with other people who are going through drug court, but like we're currently in it, and join the it's a Lane Treatment Court Alumni Association. So it's a nonprofit board. I joined that and started like fundraising and doing things for like event planning and stuff. And I was really good at that. So I was like, and it hardly took me like no effort. Like I was like, okay, I'll make a few phone calls, ask people if they'll donate something. No one ever said no. And then I would show up to these things and they're like, oh my God, look at everything you've done. And I'm like, this was so easy. And I'm like, yeah, you're welcome. And so then I was like, I'm like hardly putting any effort into any of these things that I'm doing. And all these people are looking at me going, look at all this stuff you've done. And I'm like, what if I tried? What would it look like if I was actually putting effort into it? So then I started thinking, okay, you know what? I want to pick some goals. I want to do something. I want to work on my credit score. So I figured out ways to build my credit. And I just started doing the things I learned it all on TikTok, which is where I learned everything. And I built my credit score up. I was like, I want to buy some cars. I want to buy a car. So I did that. I bought a car. I was able to afford the car. And then I was like, we should stop paying other people for things that we can just do. So I was like, I would like to buy a house eventually. So I started working on things, getting ready to buy a house. But Carson was paying somebody to work in their shop. So I was like, let's open our own shop.
Yeah.
So I just started looking around at places and found this great place. I started going on Pinterest, found all these decorations that I wanted to do, got it all planned out. We built that shop in 2 weekends.
Nice. And I love it.
It's great.
Yeah.
It looks so good.
It does.
And, you know, we low overhead. We hardly paid, I mean, like we paid some money, but we hardly paid money compared to like other people who've like opened businesses.
Yeah.
And it works. It looks great in there. And, you know, slowly but surely he started adding barbers into the shop. It was just him for a long time. And then he got one other guy, Jake, who's just great. They're just, the guys are just great in there. And then another one. Yeah. And then two
now
more.
you got at least 4 in there. I was in there last week or the week before, and because I go to them not as often as I should, but I go at least once a month.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, bro, look at this. Look at what you've done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's all these things that we've done, and they turned out to be these really great things that seemed like a lot, but actually were just really easy.
Yeah. Well, for a lot of people, they seem impossible.
Yeah.
They literally seem impossible.
It's true. And that's what, and a lot of people say that to me. A lot of people say like, yeah, but there's like a lot of work that's involved. And then I'm like, yeah, there is, but like just do the first thing. And then you do the second thing. And then you do the third thing. And then before you know it, you look back and you've done all these steps and then you're done.
And where it started, what you said earlier, the key word is goals.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Goals.
Well, it turned out I would have these really weird, like depressive moments in my recovery where I'm just like, why am I feeling so down? And I'm like, it's because I have nothing to look forward to. Nothing to look forward to. So I'm like, what if I just like stop waiting for things to look forward to, but like made my own things to look forward to? Turns out those are actually called goals. So then I just started, I was like, shoot, I'm a goal setter.
Yep.
I'm a goal achiever.
Yeah.
That's what I do. And I'm a doer. So, and I think that's where I most feel alive, was when I'm working on something to achieve something, and then I achieve it, and then I'm like, what is next? What is the next thing that I'm going to do? Yeah. And I fully believe with my whole heart that I literally can do whatever I want.
Same.
I have no doubts that I can do anything that I want to do.
So, and I feel the exact same way. There's nothing I can't do. There's things I don't want to do.
Yeah.
But what is it? What is it within that mindset that I know you've thought about it, because I think about this. It's like, what is it that makes us different? Why do people feel like things are impossible when people like you and I are like, the fuck does that even mean?
Well, yeah, I have thought about it, because I think that there was a before my addiction and during my addiction. I didn't do anything ever.
Yeah.
I really never like accomplished things. A lot of things. And I remember as a kid trying things, and then like they would get hard, and I'd be like, okay, well, I don't even like this anymore. So, you know, then I'd stop doing it.
You were afraid of failure at that point.
Oh yeah. I was afraid
so which means it was a victim mentality at that point. Kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably. Yeah. Fear played a big role in everything.
Yeah.
And fear plays a big role in everything now.
Yeah.
I'm always scared, but I do it anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
that's what I'm talking about. There's that right there. That comfort and discomfort is the difference. Is that understanding that things are scary, but you fucking do it.
Yeah.
You fucking do it. And I think that's the problem with our society right now is everybody's, for one, they don't set their bar high. Like I always fucking say, you got to set your bar way the fuck up there, so you have something to look forward to. But also it's like understanding that failure is not failure. It's learning. And
the best things I've ever learned came from something that happened that did not go the way that I wanted it to. Yeah, for sure.
See, so what would you tell a woman or a young girl or even a boy, it doesn't matter, or in between, whatever. What could you say to somebody that could like, just because sometimes it's just a phrase. It's just something that can motivate somebody that they're going to say, what that person told me a year ago, I never fucking forgot. Just
keep showing up.
Yeah.
You can be scared, and you can be tired, and you can have back pain, and you can, be overwhelmed, but just show up. Just go there, because it's always the fear or the anxiety or the what ifs that you make up in your mind that is way worse than what real life is.
Yeah.
I will sit and make up. My boss will send me a message and say, do you have a second? And I'm like, fuck. You know? I'm like, and it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing. It's literally nothing. She's like, oh, can you show me that one thing that you knew how to do last week?
Your automatic response was thinking that you fucked up somehow, right? Or
that I didn't do something or I forgot to do something. What did I forget?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'll go through the whole list, the whole spectrum. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's that default to fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's annoying.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It really is. Yeah. So yeah, keep showing up.
Okay.
Because that's how I got successful at everything. Was I just showed up, and other people don't.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the difference. I know. I get that. So what are your plans right now? What are your goals right now? I asked Carson this the other day, but Carson's Carson. I want to know.
Yeah. So I've got some personal goals. Like, I'm currently trying to work on getting really healthy in several different ways. So like,
I know a good gym.
Yeah. No. So like fitness, and nutrition. I just want to be clean.
Yeah.
I'm getting older. I'm not going to be able to just like eat garbage for the rest of my life. This doesn't work. So there's that. But I have some goals at work that I'm working towards. I'm working towards expanding beyond my current role, and definitely some professional projects and things like that at my work. And I want to get to a point where we will never have to worry about the fact that Carson doesn't have a retirement plan as a barber. So I want to be able to be financially free. Yeah. So I've got a lot of different avenues that I'm working towards for passive income. Yeah. I want to buy property, and so there's that. I'm trying to get these kids out of high school so I can go do fun stuff. Yeah. And travel.
That's probably goal number 3 right? on the list of many.
Yeah. We're so close.
Yeah. Are they 14?
They are 14, 15, 16.
Okay, I was trying to remember what Carson said the other day.
Yeah, yeah. So they're all having birthdays right now. So they run right up. Yeah, because his kid is 11 months younger than so all our kids, 11 months.
Very close.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, cars all at the same fucking time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, it's true. But then it's over at the same time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's not getting drug out forever. Yeah. But yeah, there's some like professional goals that I want to help Carson achieve. So, whether we expand and open up another shop locally or, maybe
Mexico.
So yeah, we do have some connections in Mexico, where, that could be a really fun venture.
I'd come there to get my haircut for sure.
Yeah, there's so many different things that we can do. And I think at this point, we just bought this house, which was a huge undertaking. And because we bought it with another person. So there's 3 of us that own this house together, which was really how we could make it work in this economy. Yeah. And it's great. We've lived with this guy for years, and we're just like best friends, That's
good.
So, we bought this house together, but they're both very busy, and I'm the doer. So I really had to like do the whole thing for 3 people. So for me, I was exhausted. So I would like a small break, and then the next project is probably going to be an investment property.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, and you guys just recently got married, right? Like less than a year ago?
Yeah, April.
Yeah. Okay. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, in Vegas. Yeah. By Elvis. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I heard they're stopping that.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Carson said something about that
That's
too.
Weird. Yeah. Elvis
you can't stop Elvis.
No, what the hell? Especially in Vegas. Why would you think to?
Yeah. No.
No, that's I mean, how inspiring. I mean, and Carson's story really touched Mickey a lot. Everybody's story touches me. I think that everybody is valuable.
Not that I don't.
No. I'm not. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that in that way.
I just.
But it's just such a beautiful thing to see a smart, intelligent, driven woman in this world now, because I think the roles are really fucked up right now. But having women that are like you,
yeah,
it's motivating and inspiring.
Yeah.
And you need to give yourself a lot of credit for that.
Yeah.
If you don't, because I find that a lot of people, I'm like, they're so humble. Like Carson, I'll say I'm like teary. I always cry. I'm a crier anyway. But but like I was like all that he's accomplished in 3 years to come from where he was. He needs to give himself credit. And like we didn't have the conversation. I don't know if he does. But it's so impressive, and just so like to see where you've come from and like where you're going, and between the two of you, it's so impressive. Dang it!
Yeah,
I need to have tissues in here.
And I actually do, but they're not in here because I don't cry much. But the support system. Now I do want to. We don't have long, but tell me about, because Carson does talk so much about how supportive the supporting role that you played in his success. And I think that is what a lot of people don't have, could be the key to success and failure in their minds. And I know that,
well, one of the things I think that we do really well is that we
respect?
Focus on, but we focus on whose strengths is going to win this, whatever the thing is.
Yeah.
So, we're very opposite in a lot of ways. I'm a doer. He isn't necessarily the same in that aspect. So the things that like need to get done, I'm just like, hey, come on, this is what we do. We're going to go do this. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. We do it now.
Well, you're a forward thinker. You're an outside the box thinker. Whereas he's not, it's not that he's not a doer. He's just not thinking 10 steps ahead.
Yeah. It sounds like you're a leader, not everybody is meant to be a leader.
Yeah. But he believes in me with everything he has in him.
Yep.
Like whatever I say I want to do, he 100% fully believes that I can do that. And he's just like, heck yeah, let's do it.
Yep.
And that's what I needed in order to be a successful doer.
Yeah.
I needed somebody who believed and thought that everything I said was credible.
Yeah.
And so I get an idea. He's like, fuck yeah, we're okay. Let's do it. And I'm like, yes, that's what I've been saying. And nobody's been listening to me.
Yeah.
So that works really well. But then there's like, hey, I do this thing really well, so I'm going to focus on this, but you do this thing really well, so you focus on that. Ready, go.
Yeah.
And then we're able to manage things.
Make shit happen.
But also everybody loves Carson, loves him. Like he's so lovable that our support system is huge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like he just sits in his chair. He's got clients that come in day after day and they fall in love with him. Yeah. And they're just like, hey, like I do this thing and here now you're connected to this person who does this thing. And so, we've got resources everywhere. Not that people don't like me either, but like he's just so lovable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
He just it just works.
Well, you guys have and this is the first time we've met, I think, but you guys have the energy is something that people are attracted to.
Yeah.
It's like it's such a good energy, because you do have those people that's like, I don't want to fucking even talk to that person. You know what I mean? Because you just know, but you guys are very much a receptive energy that's really good.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun.
And the first time I met Carson was at, I think it was at Pursue. And he was this big ass
just
fucking dude.
the biggest guy at the gym.
Yeah. So of course I'm going to meet him.
With the mullet. I remember he had a mullet.
Yeah. And of course I'm the type that I want to meet people. And he looked like the type that wasn't the type that was going to try and go meet people. You know what I mean?
Man, a few words.
Yes. So, I put myself in his circle, in his area. And, We've been friends ever since.
Yeah.
We've been friends ever since,
Yeah.
and he's a great guy. I love
Great
him.
guy.
So again, drop his. Where are you guys located? Where's the barbershop located?
Big Daddy's Barber Company. It is in Springfield in this. I guess it's in the Centennial. Well, I guess it's. I don't know what it's called.
can't even
I don't
remember
know.
what
It's
called.
a plaza.
Yeah, it's over by the Walgreens.
Mohawk?
Yeah.
Off
it's
of Mohawk. Yep.
it's on Market Street actually. So
Okay.
the same plaza as Centennial Steakhouse
And Prime Time.
and Prime Time.
And Tara Ren.
Tara Ren.
Walgreens right there. Yep.
Yep.
Cool. And do you want people to follow you on any social medias?
Just Big Daddy's.
Big Daddy's.
Big
Okay.
Daddy's Barber Co.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm the one who posts all the photos on there.
Nice.
So
You're the behind the scenes. Nice.
Yeah.
You do the work. Anything
Yeah.
else? You have any other closing thoughts?
I don't think so. I had a great time.
Thank you. Thank you so much, because you motivate me from my perspective in life as a business owner, and trying to get this podcast off, and I'm very much like-minded in that sense, and I really respect you guys. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much. It was awesome.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.